Ooh, this couple is dating. What does that mean? What does this word mean? Someone recently asked me on my channel, they said, what is dating? What does this mean in Western culture? When people are dating, what happens? There's sort of this mystery around this word, dating. If you're from another culture, you might not know what dating means. Dating is a very sort of Western idea, right? In a lot of other cultures, this concept doesn't really exist, or it might exist in a different way. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to look at what dating is. Hey, if you want more lessons on Western culture like this, I'd be so happy if you subscribe to my channel right down there. Okay, so basically, the answer is dating means different things to different people. Okay, if you ask 10 people on the street, what is dating? You might get some different answers. Okay, so it really depends. And I think the biggest factor it depends on is a person's upbringing. Upbringing. That means how a person was raised. Okay, what did their parents teach them? What values do they have? What beliefs do they have? Okay, that's what upbringing means. I think that's the biggest factor. Okay, but basically, if I were to define, if I were to give a simple definition, time to wake up. Sometimes I set my alarm for things. I don't know why I set my alarm for now. It's 11 p.m. I think I set it for 11 a.m. and it's 11 p.m. Have you ever made that mistake where you set your alarm for the wrong time, a.m. and p.m.? Sometimes I make that mistake. But anyway, I had my alarm set for 11 a.m., but now it's going off at 11 p.m. Okay, so basically, this is how I would define the term dating. Okay, it is a romantic relationship. Okay, that means you like the other person romantically. There's some interest, some chemistry, some sparks. We use those words when we talk about when you're in love with someone, right? Chemistry, sparks, in love, romance, okay? Also, it involves some commitment. Okay, so when you're dating, there's some form of commitment. It's not like marriage. I mean, marriage is a very serious commitment, but dating has some commitment. Okay, also, it's usually public. That means everybody knows about it. I mean, you could be secretly dating someone, but, most of the time in Western society, when people are dating, their family knows about it, their friends know about it. Okay, so it's public. Now, the other aspect is that when people are dating, they call each other girlfriend and boyfriend. So I would say basically these are some simple criteria for the term dating. Now, also the person asked me, do people have sex when they're dating? Well, that is another great question. And I would say, again, it depends. I'd say the biggest factor it depends on is if people have a religious upbringing or if they are, currently very active religiously. Okay, because we all know that religion, most of the time, it sort of forbids sex before marriage, right? Christianity, Islam, other religions say no sex before marriage. Okay, so if people sort of have a religious upbringing, I would say they are far more likely to not be in a sexual relationship. Okay, so they would be dating, but the expectation would be that they're not having sex with each other. Okay, but if they are not religious, I would say there is, a very high chance that they would be in a sexual relationship. Okay, that would sort of be expected. So I would say, Canada is Canada's a very interesting country because we have a lot of different religious groups, but it's still considered a very secular country. A secular country, okay? That means it's not very religious. So it is sort of religious and it's not religious at the same time. Okay, so I would say if people are not religious, then they're probably okay in being in a sexual relationship. I know a lot of people, people I've worked with and they talk about their sexual lives openly. Okay, so that's why I know, probably most non-religious people who are in a sexual relationship are they talk about it and they're okay with it. But if religious people are in a sexual relationship, then they're very quiet and they're very secretive about it. Okay, so another thing I want to point out is the difference between these two terms here, okay? Dating and going on a date. There is a difference between them, okay? Let's say this guy, he likes that girl. They've sort of been flirting for a week or two, and they've been texting, and one day he says, "Hey, would you like to go out for dinner? Would you like to go out for dinner?" Okay, then people would say they're going on a date. Okay, she might tell her best friend, "Hey, he asked me on a date." So that's called going on a date. Now that's different than dating, because dating usually involves a discussion. Okay, they have a discussion about dating. Would you like to be my girlfriend? Yes? Wow, great. Okay, so now we're dating. Okay, now now they're official. They're called official. Okay, sometimes people are basically like they're in a relationship, like they're dating, but they're not official. They haven't talked about it yet. And then after they have the conversation, okay, will you be my girlfriend, boyfriend? Yes, okay. Then they are official. They're officially dating. Now we have a term, Facebook official. Have you heard this term before? This is sort of a joke in our culture, that when two people start dating, they each go into their Facebook accounts and they change their Facebook status from single to in a relationship. Okay, then all their friends can see on Facebook, ooh, they're in a relationship. Okay, it's Facebook official. That means there's no hiding anymore. It's official. Okay, so now if they go on a date, right? They're dating and they're still going on a date. So we can really use this term here, going on a date, to mean people in different relationship statuses. So for example, married people can also go on a date. Very often, a husband will take his wife on a date. You might hear them say, "Friday night is date night. We always do something fun like go to a movie or go out for dinner on Friday night. We're going on a date." Okay, so just because you go on a date doesn't mean you're dating. Do you get the difference? Okay, so there are basically one of three things can happen when people date, when they are dating. Okay, either they date for a while and then they break up. Okay, that's one option. It's a very common option. Or they date for a while and then they get engaged. And then after they're engaged for a while, then they get married. Okay, that's another common option. Now, another option is they date for a while and then they just keep dating forever. That happens quite often here in Canada. Now, in that case, most likely they end up living together. They move together into the same apartment or the same house, and they live together. And most likely, if that happens, they are in a conjugal relationship. Conjugal means sexual. I mean, why would a woman and a man move into the same apartment and not be in a sexual relationship? I mean, it's just a given. It's a given that they're going to be in a sexual relationship. Okay, so we have a term for this kind of relationship, and that is common law relationship. Okay, this is sort of a legal term for people who are living together, who have been together for a long time, and they're basically like married, but they're not married. Okay, so every province in Canada has sort of a different set of laws around these issues. Some provinces have 2 years, okay, where if you're living together in a conjugal relationship for 2 years, then you're considered common law. And then some legal things factor into it. I don't know. It's very confusing, this idea of common law. I don't know much about it. Okay, but basically there are some legal aspects to this relationship. Okay, so common law means that you can't just, it's not like dating where you just say, okay, bye, and it has no consequences. There are some legal things that could happen if you're in a common law relationship. So if you're worried about this kind of stuff, you should do some research on whatever province in Canada you're living in, what the rules are around common law relationships. Okay, so let's take a look at the expectations. Now, if you're in a dating relationship, what do you think the expectations are? Well, I would say there are basically 3 expectations. The first is that the relationship is going to lead to long-term commitment. Maybe marriage or a common law. Okay? You're going to be together for a long time. That's, I think, just a normal expectation. Another expectation I would say is sex. Now, like I said, religious, not religious, that definitely plays a factor. But I would say sex is an expectation for people who are dating. Okay, now the other thing is it's exclusive. That means no cheating. You can't have 5 girlfriends. Well, you can try, but then your girlfriend is going to get really mad if she finds out that you have other girlfriends, right? So that's what exclusive means. It means you're the only one person and one person. Okay, now sometimes you might hear this friends with benefits. Do you know what that means? Basically, that means you're just friends, there's no commitment, but you're in a sexual relationship. Okay, you're having casual sex. Have you heard the term casual sex? Okay, you're not in a relationship, you're just having sex. That's what friends with benefits means. Okay, now what about children dating? Can children have a girlfriend or a boyfriend? Well, yeah. I think it happens quite a bit in our society. Now, I'm not sure really how much this happens. I'm not sure what age people start dating. I don't have any kids, and I don't really know what the current culture is like in elementary school or junior high school. Okay, but yeah, this happens. You see it on TV all the time, these young people dating. So in that case, I would say long-term commitment is really not an expectation. I mean, kids don't even have the ability to comprehend what commitment is, right? I mean, most adults don't know what commitment is either. So I would say, that's not really an expectation for, kids when they're dating. But I would say the exclusive aspect of the relationship, that is an expectation, right? You're not allowed to cheat, otherwise the other person is going to be mad. Now, I would say sex probably is an expectation in the relationship. Now, again, I'm not sure exactly, but in Canada, the average age to lose a person's virginity is 16 years old. Okay, so on average, Canadians lose their virginity at age 16. Okay, so this might be something for you to look more into. If you're an immigrant coming to Canada, or you're new in Canada, and you're from a country like Saudi Arabia or something where the genders are are kept separate. Okay, I don't know if this happens in Saudi Arabia, if people lose their virginity at 16 years old, but I really doubt it. If you're from Saudi Arabia, let me know. Maybe things are different than I think they would be. Okay, but if you're an immigrant to Canada and you have kids who are going to school here, you might be sort of worried about this. And it might be good for you to sort of do more research into this, how you can, keep your kids. I made a series of videos recently on Canadian immigration. And one thing I said is, hey, if you're coming over here to live forever, don't be naive. Naive means sort of stupid. You should know what your kids are going to be learning in school. You should know what challenges they're going to be facing, right? Your kids are going to be growing up in a completely different culture than you grew up in, right? I made a video on that called Identity Crisis. Okay, immigrants often experience sort of identity crisis. Not the first generation immigrants, but the second generation immigrants. Who am I? What's my identity? Okay, so you should really look into all these things if you're coming to Canada. It might be of interest to you. Anyway, that's my video on dating. But I want to know, what does dating mean in your culture? Wherever you're from in the world, do you have dating? Maybe it's just completely banned in your religion or your culture, but maybe it's sort of different than it is in Western culture. Let me know down there in the comments what dating means in your culture. And I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.